While Bold and the Beautiful has dropped one spot to third place for January 2022, it had been rising in my rankings consistently since I started doing this because I have found the show to be entertaining and definitely compared to the rest of the American soap operas, it's been watchable. Now, I have only really two storylines to talk about, and that's kind of my issue with the show and why it dropped a spot is because it does get repetitive. And I've had comments talking about The Bold and the Beautiful in some of my videos about how the show is repetitive. And yeah, I do agree that a lot of these characters tend to have the same conversations over and over a little too much. I do think there's a decent excuse for that though, because unlike the other soap operas, at least in America, like General Hospital Days and Young and the Restless are an hour each day. I mean, really, without advertisements, it's really only like 36 minutes. But Bold and the Beautiful, with advertisements, it's only like 16 to 18 minutes of show a day. So I can see why they have episodes where the same people are in the same conversation on back-to-back episodes because they don't get the full hour. So they kind of put it in two episodes, if that makes any sense what I'm trying to say. But despite the show being a bit repetitive and only having two storylines going right now, I still find it entertaining and still find it enjoyable. It is definitely one of the better shows to watch on a daily basis. One, because it is short, but also because it's just easy viewing. And we'll get into these stories. The first one I'm going to talk about is, I would say, probably the B story right now. The A story is still the whole Brooke and Deacon Ridge drama with Taylor now back and Sheila trying to cause havoc and all their kids. The B story is Paris. Now, I talked about in December how Paris was kind of having a whiplash reaction to Zende wanting to propose to her, and how just a month before it seemed like she was really professing her love for Zende, but now all of a sudden they're sticking her with Carter. And I'm going to get to the whole Paris and Carter thing. But first, I want to say that honestly, I'm glad that the show is writing Paris as a younger character because I felt like a lot of times on these soap operas, the younger characters aren't written as young, or the shows just don't know how to write for the younger sets of characters. We've seen a lot of problems with that pop up lately on the American soap operas. And their go-to is always like a teen pregnancy or just the young characters getting married suddenly, and that happened on Days, and that was annoying with Johnny and Chanel. But I'm glad they're writing Paris as young, and Paris is young, and maybe marriage is too soon for her. So her reasoning for not wanting to be with Zende actually makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm glad Paris is being able to express that as a younger character. They've also brought her mom, Grace, played by an actress that used to be on As the World Turns. Cassandra Creese, I believe, is her name. I think she used to be Denise, I want to say, on As the World Turns. I don't know. That was not the time period I watched As the World Turns, so I don't know that character's name too well. But I'm glad they brought Paris's mom on board. We'll see where that comes into play. Now, I know the character of Paris is getting a lot of flack, and the writing deserves a lot of flack for they don't seem to know what to do with her. So, yes, on one hand, I'm glad that they're writing Paris as being young, and maybe it is too soon for marriage, and she has all the reason to want to date around because she is young, and that's what young people do. But now they're testing her with Carter, and it all seems so random. I don't understand why this is a thing for the character of Paris. They seem to always be trying to put her with different people. It was Thomas at one point. Um, it was Finn at one point. Clearly Zende, and now Carter. All within the last few months, they keep testing her with a lot of people. And maybe that can kind of, you can make the argument that it fits the fact that she's a young woman who is playing the field. But I feel like there's a lot of pushback on the character now, and I don't necessarily agree. Anybody that's seen any of my Big Brother or Survivor videos knows that me and Twitter don't get along. I tend to not agree with Twitter on most things. I know I get flack for on General Hospital, like I only support Trina to get views. No, I don't. I like Spencer and Trina together because they have chemistry. So yes, I agree with Twitter on that one point. But on most points, I'm gonna probably disagree with Twitter 9 times out of 10. And this is kind of one of those points, kind of, because I do agree that the character of Paris is just written too all over the place, for sure. And I also kind of agree that Paris and Carter, who they're now trying to push her with, do lack chemistry. I'm not seeing the chemistry between Paris and Carter, especially when they were teasing Carter with Katie. And I thought the Carter and Katie actually do have some chemistry. And Paris has chemistry with Zende and chemistry with Thomas, but not really with Carter. So I don't understand why this is the direction they're going in. I'm also a bit confused why Lauren St. Victor, who plays Carter and is also a part of the writing team, continues to let the writing for Carter also be all over the place. I feel like Carter had that whole hot affair with Quinn, had a good flirting going on with Katie, but now they're trying to push Carter and Paris. I don't know. It feels like a misstep in the direction for both Paris and Carter. It does. But I do just disagree with social media that the character of Paris is like ruined or something, or like I just I just don't agree because I feel like yes, she has been written all over the place, but the excuse for it is valid. She is a young woman and she can date around if she wants to. She doesn't have to commit to a marriage with Zende. Do I kind of wish they would give her a more stable relationship? Yes, but on the other hand, no, I don't. I don't know. I just don't agree. I feel like the character of Paris, unlike most of these young characters on American soap operas, actually feels like a young woman. Most of them don't. So I just have to say that I don't think the character of Paris is ruined. They have her mom Grace on the canvas now. There's plenty for the character that could still be explored. Yes, it would be nice if they could, not have her with testing with all the men on the show, but whatever. Let's move on to the main story. Of course, it was Brooke and Deacon spending time together on New Year's Eve after Sheila tricked Brooke into drinking alcoholic champagne when Brooke thought it was non-alcoholic champagne. That's been driving the main story since then. For the entire month of January was Brooke being upset that she let herself drink and let herself kiss Deacon and trying to push Deacon away because of that he can't come around anymore, kind of ruining all the progress Deacon had made over the past couple of months. Douglas saw this all go down, saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus because at that time when they kissed, Deacon had a Santa hat on. And so it has kind of become Brooke and Hope and Liam trying to keep Douglas from telling people that Brooke was kissing Santa Claus and then figuring out that it was really Deacon. Towards the end of January, Thomas was kind of putting it together that Brooke and Deacon kissed. Honestly, I don't have a lot to say on the story. It is been kind of repetitive, which is the reason I have dropped Bold and the Beautiful down one spot. I still think overall Bold and the Beautiful is one of the more watchable soap operas right now. I feel like Brooke and Hope trying to keep this from Ridge is what makes the Logans so annoying in the first place. I've never been a fan of the Logans in general, and I don't think I ever will be. I've always been Team Taylor when it came to the Brooke and Taylor and Ridge triangle. And I even enjoy Krista Allen as Taylor. I think she's still doing a good job as Taylor. Uh, they're also within the story is Taylor still thinking that Sheila can change, and Sheila trying to play into that. But of course, Sheila's obsession with taking down her enemies is always her main concern. I do wish we would see more of Sheila continuing to try and be close to Finn. But overall, I still feel like they've taken the time to layer this story because we have, I mean, the part of it is there's like been some regression within the characters. This is true. I feel like maybe Steffi has regressed. Both Steffi and Hope have regressed because they've been getting along lately, but now they want their mothers back with Ridge. So I do think the characters kind of devolve when it comes to triangles on the show all the time. But I still feel like the story is layered because it's all about these characters and about their kids, even down to Sheila and Deacon. So all the characters in the story have motivations. Yes, some regress the characters, but for the most part, I still enjoy it. Bold and the Beautiful. At one point during the month, I was considering putting it at number one, but then I was a bit. First of all, the Paris and Carter pairing wasn't working, and the storyline with Brick was getting redundant and repetitive. But overall, it's still a solid show for me, and it's number 3 in my rankings.